Black Mesa is the fan-made remake of Half-Life built in the Source engine. Announced back in 2005, this project only just saw completion a few years ago. That's mainly due to the team putting a massive amount of work and effort into the Zen levels, which are pretty much Crowbar Collective's stamp on the original and new designs within the Half-Life universe. If you haven't played the original Half-Life, most of the game takes place on Earth, with the final hour or so of the game taking place on an alien world named Zen. Now, these levels I always felt were pretty underwhelming and they felt rushed. Many players, including some at Valve themselves, shared this sentiment, which is why the team developing Black Mesa set out to really put their mark on Zen by remaking the levels with fresh and original ideas, art, entirely new sections, design elements, and more. So while the Earthbound levels are very close to their 1998 counterpart, the Zen levels really allow the team to show to the world what a modern Valvean-style design looks and plays like. First, it needs to be said that Half-Life is one of the best FPS games of all time, and if you haven't played it, you should. Yes, even if you plan on playing Black Mesa, every FPS gamer needs to experience Half-Life at some point. The movement in the original is fast, smooth, and frankly in 1998, it was so revolutionary that every FPS from that point onward drew some form of inspiration from the game. To say Half-Life is important to the genre, it's pretty much the understatement of the year. Black Mesa, though, removes plenty of the rough edges that time has left upon the original. This makes the overall campaign experience much more digestible and understandable, and frankly accessible. If you're unfamiliar with the story, you play as theoretical scientist Gordon Freeman, who works at the Black Mesa Research Facility. Black Mesa is kind of like an Area 51-esque research base. It's deep within the deserts of New Mexico at a decommissioned Cold War missile site. You learn pretty quickly that the work being done at Black Mesa is not what it seems, as an experiment goes wrong, triggering a dimensional rift between worlds as aliens suddenly invade Earth. It's up to you to escape the base from not just the aliens, but the government trying to cover the incident up. You gotta teleport to the alien homeworld and fix the problem. The game features a seamless narrative experience, rarely ever taking control away from you as the player, and really cementing the silent protagonist design style. For my Halo viewers, Half-Life was undoubtedly a resource Bungie viewed during development of their own silent protagonist, Master Chief. Visually, Black Mesa is one of the best looking takes at a traditional Source Engine game in the Half-Life universe. You have atmospheric lighting that guides you along the whole journey. There will be subtle clues with each of the new level designs, be it colored lighting, a box out of place, or even newly added windows, floor layouts, and more that guide you along as the player. It's pretty amazing how much thought and care went into when you enter a room what you see from the puzzle-solving perspective. Where you may have gotten stuck in the original, Black Mesa's level designers have carefully crafted routes that just flow better, which is a huge win, as pausing a game to go look at a guide, it kills the vibe and the momentum like none other. Zen, however, pushes the visuals and art design to an all-new level, truly feeling like a game that has absolutely used every ounce that the base Source Engine can provide. We'll dive deeper into the Zen levels in a bit. Without a doubt, the team at Crowbar Collective succeeded in giving the game a new layer of atmospheric lighting and effects that don't really disrupt the feeling of the original game, but do enhance it. Gunplay in the original Half-Life remains fun and enjoyable for the most part, with fast-paced movement, a varied sandbox, and enough enemy types to keep you engaged for most of the campaign, with some minor fatigue and enemy variety hitting only near the end of your first playthrough. Black Mesa, I would say, does the exact same. There are enough weapons and enemy types to keep you engaged on your journey, although at times it can become a bit fatiguing, as there isn't an overwhelming amount of mechanical variety between the enemy types. I mean, these are designs from 1998. And FPS enemy designs have come quite a way since then, so just know by the end of the journey, you might be a bit tired of fighting the same mobs over and over with the tools you've been provided. And with the exception of a later chapter, Interloper, most of the game's pacing in regards to sending different enemy types your way and challenges, it's pretty solid. Again, if you're debating playing the original or this, I will always recommend the original first, then Black Mesa, so you can appreciate the design changes that the team has made. But if you absolutely know you won't play Half-Life 1, then just give Black Mesa a shot. Regarding the Earthbound levels, I love what the developers did here. They changed just enough to improve upon the original without actually disrupting the flow for the player. And in some ways, they vastly improved upon it. On a Rail was a chapter from the original game that really wasn't my favorite. It felt as if you could get lost easily, wandered, and went on for far too long. Crowbar Collective removed most of this chapter while rebuilding their own version with sections that still preserved the railcar design, but without the never-ending sense of tunnel after tunnel and the monotony of the original. The team also knows clearly where the high points of their game are and will routinely throw you tons of enemies, explosions, and moments of just pure awesomeness, all while blasting music from Joe Nielsen at you. For the most part, these sequences landed perfectly. I felt the adrenaline and excitement as the developers clearly knew how to really push the moment. The music can get so loud in these spots though that you can't even hear your own gunfire. But whatever. Just let the sequence of chaos happen. They feel almost like moments from Doom 2016 or Eternal, where you just get sucked into the sandbox completely. The music on the whole, by the way, I thought was pretty great. Joel Nielsen did a solid job. The overall tone of the tunes seemed to fit perfectly with the alien world of Zen, maybe a bit more so than that of the Earthbound levels. Which, let's just talk about Zen. As mentioned earlier, this is the most recent kind of Valvean design levels published in a Half-Life FPS game in the last few years. So how do they hold up? Surprisingly well at the start. Zen is visually stunning and gives you access to jump puzzles utilizing your new jump pack. They build a crescendo of challenge as each jump gets more complex, but you never really feel the unseen hand of the developer guiding you and improving your competency with each section. New story elements are added, where you see other researchers in HEV suits who have succumbed to the aliens. The sound design on these enemies, well, it's just brilliant, as you hear the garbled and glitched out audio of the other HEV suits freaking out around you. The vibes and the atmosphere here, it was on point. The momentum carries strongly into the next chapter, Gonarch's Lair, which is a long boss fight spanning multiple maps and areas. You begin with a large-scale arena battle with Gonarch. Ammo pods teleport from a mysterious helper as you battle this giant alien. After hitting a damage threshold, Gonarch begins to run off, chasing you around multiple rooms, ultimately leading to a big final showdown. I loved it for the most part and felt the changes from the original were great across the board. I should mention again, like Earthbound levels, didn't go that deep into it. They were amazing. I really enjoyed all of them. Okay, Interloper. Here we go. The game's second to last chapter. Oh boy. This is where it all starts to kind of fall apart. The opening sequence provides you with some good world building regarding the Vortigaunts, and this leads into an epic chase sequence where you have to run away from multiple gargantuas, all while platforming and routing at the same time on the fly. Again, positive and fun. And then you hit the factory and it's just a mess. The puzzle solving feels tedious and repetitive, and it goes on for way too long. Then you get pushed into what feels like a never-ending elevator fight that goes on for, again, just too long. It should be mentioned that at this point you're probably like 10 or so hours into the game. These lengthy, tedious, and overall monotonous sections in Interloper killed the momentum of the playthrough so hard I literally had to take a break. I felt deflated, and up until this point, Black Mesa was like a 10 out of 10 experience. And, spoiler, it's still exceptional. But this chapter absolutely derails the momentum you have built up to this point. It's funny, the team removed most of On the Rail for the reasons I just highlighted, and yet they built kind of their own version of it with Interloper. It just needs some serious work, in my opinion, and should be reduced in length. Artwork in these areas, they're still great. But as the player, I just wanted the game to be over and be done with it, all once hitting Interloper. Don't let this chapter hold you back from playing the game though, but do be aware it'll take over an hour to get through, and it's definitely not the favorite part of the game. Like, plenty of players have issues with this chapter. Then there's the final boss fight, which is freaking epic, along with the final sequence, which if you haven't seen yet, don't let it be spoiled for you. On the whole, the team really did succeed with the Zen chapters. I just sort of feel like they had to balance too many needs all at once. Players who bought the game before Zen release, players buying it after Zen release, and ultimately it does feel like it bloats out the original package, and it really is like a sum of its parts kind of a game, where when you really take Black Mesa for all of these elements, fantastic game. But when you put it under a microscope, Interloper just, it's too much at the tail end, and it should be reduced in size a little bit. Black Mesa, though, in 2023, it's an absolute triumph and shows what a dedicated group of fans can do for a game they love. I hope everyone gives Black Mesa a playthrough at some point. It lives up to the Half-Life pedigree, and in my opinion, it's a fantastic way to experience the original story. Just remember, show some love to the original as well. In many ways, Black Mesa rekindled my enjoyment of PC FPS single-player games, and now I'm deep into another playthrough of Half-Life 2 as a result. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed, please like the video, maybe send it to a friend, and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you again very soon.